going to have a hard time getting through them. So bear with me, but I think there's some things that we can say and some positive things to talk about my dad. Appreciate everybody really coming to help us celebrate Jan Foos today. Right? This year, we've experienced a lot of changes, right? The, loss, grief. It's a unique year that we all have to experience. Things have changed both in our everyday lives and now in dealing with death. We have a difficult time to gather, but maybe we can take a moment to think about an opportunity to check in with one another, right? Check in with folks that you may not have seen for a while. We're all isolated, and it might be a chance that, unfortunately, this circumstance gives us a way to connect with a few. I hope I give you each a little bit of time to think and remember friends and people that you've been around for all our lives. And maybe take a minute to share some stories about my dad. Think about what he's done. My father didn't claim to be much of a religious individual, but and come to think of it, I don't ever remember him being in a church. But that doesn't mean that he didn't believe in the hereafter. He often spoke of it, that there must be a better place for all of us after we leave this. I'd like to think for him, heaven's a forest full of trees. Small ones that he can nurture and take care of. Medium-sized ones that I'm sure he's trimming today. And large ones that he can look at in God's wonder on what can be accomplished. It's things that he did. I'm sure in his heaven, he's driving down through the fields or through the forest in his tractor, or maybe that old Suzuki thing. And, the animals are watching him. I remember that often, right? He knew, and they all knew where he was and where he was going. I'm sure his heaven has cool, clear streams and majestic mountains. And I'm positive that he's currently admiring nature in all its wonder today and looking down upon us from his eternity. For life ever after, it's comforting to know that, like Dad, there must be a better place. And I think we can best reflect on that in the 23rd Psalm. And with that, maybe you can join me in this if you know it. If not, well, pay attention. All right. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Pause. I should have put my glasses on, because this is as far as I can read. Now I can read. Okay. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me, and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, and thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all of the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Let's reflect on that. For my brother and I, the greatest thing we can say is thank you, Dad. Thank you for showing us the way to be men. Thank you for teaching us the way to respect the land, put in a hard day's work, and do the best in all you do. Thank you for teaching us to be kind individuals and to be compassionate to our fellow man. We know that Dad cared deeply about a lot of things. And sometimes he was a man of few words. His heart was kind and often forgiving. And I, for one, really thank that for the things I did as a youth. Right, I remember a car wreck, and the scariest thing for me was I had to tell Dad. And he was supportive. I mean, I got in trouble eventually, but he was very supportive, and he understood, right? And he was kind. The most fond memories I have of my father are of him in the great outdoors. I remember early mornings on the farm making wood, traveling to the back 40, and talking to the cows and watching the deer and the elk in the fields. And those were more pets to him than anything. Right? There was always a bit of a, oh, I seen that one. And he was almost waving at them. They were waving back. I remember making wood often. I mean, a lot. And I couldn't tell you to this day if it was all needed. But rather, I think it was the lessons learned and the stories told that were more important than heating our home as we were out making that wood. For my mother, she can say thank you for 53 years together. All the ups and downs, but together they build a home, businesses, and a life together. As with us all, especially in these times today, it's the companionship that a spouse brings that we cherish most. The majority of their life together was spent on that family farm, the place they called home, on a hill west of Pio. Later in life, they enjoyed traveling, but always in Dad's fashion. Up early, never staying too long in one place, admiring the scenery and the forests along the way. It was often heard, "Jose, time to go." And off they went. To Hermiston for a melon, and maybe the casino. And to parts unknown in Montana in that last Russell picture. If you asked him, one of the things Dad was most proud of was playing basketball in Freeze's barn and taking the LeBam team to the state championship in 1955. Growing up, we heard often of the players of those teams, and many remain lifelong friends. There may be fewer of that team left today, but I'm sure all that left him before him has gathered him up, and they're playing pickup ball somewhere watching us. So I've tried to give a few stories, a few examples, some things that I remember. Does anybody else have a story or something they'd like to say? Yes.
The first time that I ever met Jan, I was up at my father-in-law's, Bob Zumble's house, and we were talking about this mill on Reedland Road in the industrial park of Chehalis. Come to find out, my dad helped build that mill. I didn't even know Jan from anybody. He says, "Joe Ross?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "I unloaded logs at that mill." And I thought, wow, this is a small community. However, we did know Ed Zumble very well. He went to our church up in Chehalis, and so, as fate would have it, I met him, and here I are.
Yeah.
But that was really cool that he knew my dad, and I hadn't even known him yet.
Sure.
That was fun.
Yes, please.
Okay. My favorite thing he ever said. So I was spending a day with Aunt Josie and in the old place, and anyone that's gone up their driveway, it's kind of putt hole, and you make your way to the top. And then we had to go to the post office, so we went back down, and then we came back up the hill, and then we forgot something, so we went back to PL. We came back up, and Jan comes out there and he says, You two are gonna wear out my driveway.
I don't know if Josie knows this or not, but Jan named our son Skippy. He was our 5th child. And he brought Skip to the hospital and said, Skip, you gotta name one after you. We already named him Rocky Andrews, and so he's now Skippy.
Oh,
Him and your kids is Hershey candy bars.
Yeah, the Hershey
They
candy.
still remember that when they seen him recently. Yeah, he
They
always
still
brought him,
remember that.
he brought him Hershey candy bars when they were kids.
Oh.
but they had to stand on their head to get it.
That's an infinity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories.
Well, we appreciate everyone sharing. Well, we all have our own memories of my father. What I believe we can all say is that Dad did things his own way. He beat to his own drum and lived life the way he wanted to. And I think we can all take a little bit from that. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We love you, Dad. Let us conclude with the Lord's Prayer, as I must believe that the Lord is watching over our dad now. I'm sure he is meeting old friends, playing pickup basketball, and admiring the trees and doing things his way. Now join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, thank you all for coming. Take a moment to contact someone today, someone that you haven't seen in a while. Think about someone, and thank you.
Say hi to BZ for me, Jan.